Propositions are used to state existence or non-existence. For example, a proposition might state some eggs exist. In our car example, this would mean some English cars exist. Another proposition might state some X are Y, or some English cars are new. The first example, using only one letter, is said to be unilateral. The second, using two letters, is bilateral. Let's take the proposition some eggs exist. Now there's no mention in the proposition of Y at all, so some of these eggs things may be in the west half, some may be in the east half. We don't know, so we put our red counter to represent existence on the fence, so to speak, in the north half. In our car example, this would mean some English cars exist. Might be new, might be old, we don't know. Now let's take the proposition no X exist. Again, no mention of Y, but if there are no X, then we've got to use a grey counter in both cells in the top half of the bilateral diagram to represent non-existence. Doesn't matter whether they have the attribute Y or not Y, there's simply no X at all. In our car example, if there are no X, that means there are no English cars at all, either new or old. Now let's take the proposition some XY exist. This is the same as saying some X are Y or some Y are X. And we'll use a red counter to represent this existence in the northwest corner of our bilateral diagram. In our car example, this is the same as saying some new English cars exist. Now taking the proposition no XY exist, which is the same as saying no X are Y and no Y are X. We use a grey counter to represent this non-existence in the northwest cell of our bilateral diagram. In our car example, this would mean that there are no new English cars. The proposition all X are Y. In fact, this is a double proposition really, because it's the same as saying some X are Y and no X are not Y, and will represent existence in the top left hand corner or the northwest corner with a red counter, and non-existence in the northeast corner with a grey counter. Returning to our car example, all English cars are new, which is the same as saying some English cars are new and no English cars are old.